What's up, airplane collectors? Welcome to a model review. It's your host Ray. Today I'll be reviewing the highly anticipated NG model United Airlines Boeing 737-900 in the Eco Sky Special livery. This model has been highly anticipated here in the United States, and finally this model has started arriving to collectors and retailers. It was released as a part of the June 2022 releases. This review will consist of a short discussion of the box, then a discussion of the model's features, and at the end of the video I will give my personal opinion about what I think of the model and whether or not I recommend it to other collectors. So starting with the box, it's the standard NG model 737 box at 13 centimeters lengthwise, 13 centimeters tall, and about 3.5 centimeters wide. I'll show you around the box now as I discuss the box. Another United Airlines 737-900 was also released in the June 2022 releases, and that one was the post-merger livery, or the Continental livery. And the box arts from both of the aircraft, this one and the one I just mentioned, actually line up pretty nicely. NG likes to do this with similar aircraft. So I don't have any reference photos, but if you would like to look online on the NG model pages, you should be able to see it there. This model does include the Collector Rewards program card, and it's actually very fitting that this one is green since this airplane represents, I guess, a green idea for better fuel economy in the skies. And here's the model itself. I'll give you guys a quick 360 so you can get a look around the model. The model is 10.2 centimeters long, the wingspan is 8.8 centimeters, and it's about 3.1 centimeters tall from the ground to the top of the vertical stabilizer. So it's accurate to 1:400 scale and relatively small. Let's start off the review at the front of the aircraft. Here we can see the frontal part of the airplane. No shape looks good. Printing up here looks good. The Eco Skies logo looks nice. No complaints overall. The colors also for the logos look good. As we move down the fuselage, you can see that there isn't that many fuselage features, which makes the plane look rather plain, for lack of a better term. I'm sorry, I had to make the joke. But that's not a complaint, that's just how the livery is. Here's the left side of the vertical stabilizer. This looks really good as well, no complaints. Colors look nice, and everything seems to line up well. Here's the right side of the aircraft. Same can be said from the left side. I have no complaints whatsoever. Colors look good, shapes look good. Overall, pretty solid so far. Moving on to the wings look good as per usual. Lots of printed detail and very nicely done molded detail. No complaints here. The underside of the wing has a lot of molded detail as well, but no printed detail. The wingtips on this model, as well as other recent NG 737s, are a little bit questionable. This is probably where the majority of my complaints are going to come from. Here is the scimitar tip for the left side winglet, or just the left wing, sorry. It looks good. I really don't have any complaints. This little tip here, the little point for the scimitar, is a little bit shorter than usual, and this is a common trend. This is something common that you do see on some NG 737s, and while it's shorter, it's not by very much, so I won't complain about that. However, it is something that I just noticed. Here's the right scimitar tip, and this is actually where the most of my dissatisfaction of this model comes from. Not that there is very much, as you can tell already, but yeah, unfortunately something seemed to have happened during manufacturing or shipping, and I doubt shipping though, and the bottom scimitar tip was bent towards the fuselage, so that was pretty messed up. I see no indication of impacts or paint chips, so I'd imagine this was just a manufacturing defect, but this problem, I don't think it's very fixable if I can even try and fix it at all, so I'm probably just going to leave it be. That's been a problem with these models. Sometimes the wingtips do come completely cut off, I've seen, or severely bent, so just take that into account. Moving to the rear section of the aircraft again, we're going to talk about the horizontal stabilizers. These look fine as per usual. I have no complaints. The APU also looks really nice. Here you can see it. It's just a painted splotch with a slight indentation. Looks good overall. Here are the engines. The engines look fine. I have no complaints on the engines. The exhausts look fabulous as per usual with the NG 737s. The intakes look nice. The fan blades look detailed. Lots of printed detail on the underside. No complaints on the engines. Let's discuss aerials, as they're called, for a bit, and these are what I call external features. There are antennas and Wi-Fi domes on this model. On the top of the aircraft, there are 2 antennas and a singular Wi-Fi dome. You can see these here. No complaints on these, they look good. On the underside of the aircraft, these are the ones that poke you. There are 3 antennas on the bottom, one in the front part of the fuselage and one right behind the wings and the landing gear. These look good except for this one. This one appears to be a little bit twisted and mounted incorrectly. However, it is secured in place, so it's not loose, so there isn't really anything I can do to fix it. We'll keep the discussion at the bottom of the aircraft. Here you can see all sorts of features and details. Everything looks pretty good down here. I don't have any complaints. All of the printed details that should be there from my knowledge are there, so looks pretty good down here as well. Something I just noticed on the bottom of the nose, the 737-900 text there, it's incredibly small, but it's still very highly detailed and printed with absolute precision. So NG did a really job on the printing on this model. Hats off to them. Let's transition to the landing gear. This is also where some of my complaints come in from. The gears look fine, the details are good, except for the main landing gear. You can see again, they're also pointed towards the front of the fuselage. This has been front of the aircraft, I'm sorry. This has been happening on some a lot of NG 737 batches recently, and I'm not sure why, but it is kind of irritating. Hard to notice, but it is something that you do end up noticing. But aside from that, gear details are fine, and something that caught me off guard was the wheels on this model are completely stiff. Usually on NG 737s they do roll, but these don't want to budge. And while that is a very small nitpick, as I have been told, and I do have to agree it's a very small nitpick, it did catch me off guard and kind of irritated me since I've come to expect that from NG. But at the same time, I can't really expect everything out of these small models, so I'll let that pass. Here's the front of the aircraft. Here you can actually see the difference between the 2 scimitar tips, how this one is correct and the one on the left side of the screen and the right side of the aircraft is bent. But that's not what this is about. Here we can see wing flex. Wing flex looks good. Engine clearance looks good. The gear balance is a little off, probably due to the fact that the gears don't roll, so they can't really adapt as they usually do. I think the cockpit window the window printing might be a little tilted towards the right of the aircraft. Not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure it is. And just like that, that was actually a lot faster than most of my other videos. The review is done. Now time for my personal opinion and recommendation. This model is pretty solid. I do say that with a little bit of hesitation since my model does have a few slight defects. The one that gets me the most is the scimitar tip. That really messes with me. I do tend to be a bit more picky with my wingtips, but the gears also kind of threw me off. It's not the end of the world, but it is something that did slightly irritate me. But I won't really hold NG against that too much. But the scimitar tip, that was really, really a letdown. So for my recommendation, I do recommend this model to other collectors, but proceed with caution. Recently, NG quality control has been on a downward trend, and this is especially notable here. And some retailers that I am in contact with have also reported numerous cases of completely broken wingtips, messed up landing gears, broken models with all sorts of paint chips, all sorts of just undesirable things that really shouldn't be happening. So yes, if you want to get this, get this. It's a pretty awesome model. Lots of good details. Printing is good. Mold is good. Just beware that it might come with defects, and more likely than not, it will come with defects. Well, thank you so much for watching. That concludes the video. If you have any questions, feel free to drop those down below in the comments. Like, comment, and subscribe. Stay tuned for more model airplane, model siren, and hopefully, if I stop procrastinating, rocket content. And I'll see you guys in my next video.